I can't believe I'm saying this, but the New England Patriots will have a new head coach next season. Right off the bat, that sentence alone feels insane for me to say. My entire conscious existence, Bill Belichick was the head coach of the New England Patriots and built up a dynasty that only now is it even a question if somebody could, topple it with the Chiefs and the run that they're having post Super Bowl win and back-to-back championships. But before that happened, I genuinely was like, there's no way anyone's ever going to put up a run like this again. And they still might not. It's to give you an idea of the culture that Belichick established in New England. It was the evil empire. I know people understand that watched it, but if you did not watch football consistently for those years that the Patriots were the team, they were terrifying. They were consistent. They were disciplined. They had great leadership at both the player and the coach level. And to see that era end, there's a lot of people that are celebrating because people hate the Patriots and hate Belichick and hated Brady before he left. Patriot fatigue was definitely a real thing. And I think it was time for Belichick to go based on the results that he's gotten post-Brady divorce. But nonetheless, it's still pretty crazy for me to sit here and say that they're going to have a new head coach next season. It just doesn't feel real, to be honest with you. And we'll talk a little bit more about Belichick in a second because the new head coach is going to be Gerard Mayo, who has been a part of Bill Belichick's system in New England. He was a player for them for many years, and then he had a quick stint outside in the world of business, came back and joined the staff. He's been the linebackers coach in New England for the last few years, and he had a lot of buzz, especially I remember preseason and at the beginning of the year when New England was sputtering, not looking very good, that people were talking about, okay, word from the inside is that Gerard Mayo is going to be the next guy. I don't think that they could have possibly anticipated some of the names that would come available in this cycle or just how many vacancies there would be in the NFL. And I wonder if that affected the hiring process at all. But based on results, doesn't seem like it did because Gerard Mayo was hired as the new head coach in New England. Belichick and Kraft have parted ways, and it's time for a kind of new era. I say kind of because, again, Gerard Mayo was a part of the New England system that was run under Belichick, so it's really not a markedly different vision because he was a player for Belichick and he coached under Belichick. I hate to say it because I don't want to discount somebody who I really don't know how he's going to be as a head coach because he frankly doesn't have a ton of experience coaching. Even as a linebackers coach, he's had a few years under his belt, and the Patriots defense has been pretty good in those years that he was the linebackers coach. But again, it's hard for me to attribute an entire well-run defense to just the linebackers coach, particularly when you're under Bill Belichick. I'm very much on a wait-and-see approach with Gerard Mayo as head coach. I think his youth and experience as a player is going to be really nice, particularly because you're moving on from one of the oldest head coaches in the NFL, second oldest, and you are going for a younger guy, former player, which Bill was not, at least at the NFL level. And it's not too jarring of a transition for people that might not be ready for a full strip down to the studs. We are starting this whole thing over because, frankly, it's kind of tough to move on from an era that was as successful and great as the entirety of the Belichick tenure in New England was. I am worried that this is just a transition job for Mayo. Obviously, I don't like to see anybody lose their job, so I'm really hoping for the best for him. I hope that they can turn it around. The issue is that division in the AFC East is brutal. You have Josh Allen and the Bills to contend with. You have the Dolphins and that stacked skill set and Mike McDaniel to deal with. And who knows what the Jets are going to be next year because you have Rodgers coming back. They have a ton of skilled personnel on that roster. Can they pull it together? I don't know, but either way, it's not going to be a cakewalk. It's not going to be the AFC East of old where you can roll over people over and over again and essentially know you're getting a playoff spot no matter what struggles you might have in the season because you know your competition is just so weak. It's a different AFC East than in the heyday of the Belichick years. So I think Mayo's got his work cut out for him. The other unfortunate reality we have to acknowledge is that roster is not very good right now, and they need help badly at key positions. Their defense is pretty good. They've had relative success over the last few years, but offensively, they are less than stagnant. I would say they are a net negative on offense. I know a lot of people like to defend Mac Jones, but I don't think he is a quality starter in this league. I think he is probably more suited to a backup role. His confidence is clearly shaken because he hasn't had consistent coaching, and you're moving forward with a defensive-minded guy. So for my mind, it's going to be a matter of coordinator hires, coaching hires, and then if I'm them, I just cut bait on Mac Jones. He might be the starter for this year. Maybe you take a swing at the free agent market, or in all likelihood, I think they're probably going to trade up and try to get a quarterback. We'll see how that ends up going for him. But, there's a lot of teams that need a quarterback and are going to be wanting to trade up. So it just depends what they're willing to give up. I think this is a really tough job for Mayo. I do not envy him at all. This is a tough gig. There are a lot of factors that are working against him. He's the new guy. He's young. He's inexperienced. The roster is not very good. It's a tough division. It's a tough conference, even if you get out of the division. This is going to be a super tough gig. I hope the best for Mayo and for Patriots fans because my brother's a Patriots fan. I know many Patriots fans, but I think this is going to be a really, really interesting offseason for New England. I am very curious what happens. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I really appreciate you watching. If you want to see more, subscribe to the channel. If you made it all the way to this point, like the video, really helps me out. And hopefully I will see you next time. Thank you again for watching. Take care.